everyone, it's Monica. Welcome back to Homeschool Voices. Today, I'm going to talk about the 2 things that you can do to make sure you have a successful homeschool year. If you're feeling overwhelmed and like a failure, there's probably 2 things that you need to work on. The first thing is that you are doing too much yourself. I've talked about this a little before, so I'm not going to talk about it too much today, but it's a fact. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're probably trying to do everything. You're trying to do the dishes, to run the errands, to clean the house, to educate the kids. You're trying to do everything. And if your kids are older than 6 or 7, there is really no reason why they shouldn't be doing a lot. They should be helping clean the kitchen. They should be helping sweep, vacuum, certainly clean their rooms. They shouldn't be leaving messes everywhere. In short, they are full-fledged members of the family and they can do just about anything. Maybe not scrub the toilets, it depends on the age, but they can sweep, they can mop, they can vacuum, they can wipe surfaces, they can pick up their stuff. If you want to take a big weight off of you, ask your kids to help. And a lot of you are saying, no, it's just easier to do it myself. Not really, not in the long run. Yes, I know sometimes they're going to push back a lot, or they do things wrong, or they mess things up. Yes, you're gonna have to take the time to teach them, but I promise you, if you take the time to teach them, it's gonna really, really, really pay off and you're gonna feel a lot better. But more importantly, I'm gonna go to item number 2. The biggest thing that you can do to help make your school year successful is to organize, and I mean organize in all ways. Organize your homeschool, organize your curriculum, make a plan for the year, organize your kitchen, organize everything. Speaking of kitchens, let me give you an example. If you go into your refrigerator and you open that door and you look in and you're tired, you know, because life is tiring, and you're hungry, and you open it and there's 3 things that are molding and there's a bunch of crumbs and you got a drink up here and a drink down there and you got mustard here and you got ketchup in the door, how are you gonna feel about that fridge? You're gonna say, hey hon, wanna go out to eat? That's what you're gonna say. You're gonna wanna go out to eat. You don't wanna eat in that fridge. You wanna avoid that fridge as much as possible. And it doesn't matter if you just went grocery shopping 2 days ago, you're not gonna wanna cook anything because that fridge is not a positive place to be right now. You want to avoid the fridge. Okay, so I'm gonna compare the fridge to your house. So imagine walking downstairs in the morning, everything's out of place, there's crumbs on the table, there's dishes in the sink, your stuff's not organized, you don't have a plan for the year. Should you be surprised that you feel overwhelmed before you've even started? That you feel like a failure before you've even started? That you feel like you are not up to the job? Well, you are up to the job, but you have to organize. And it almost doesn't matter what, but since we're talking about homeschool, let's start with your homeschool materials. Let's start with just organizing that stuff. Go somewhere in your house where you need something to be organized, and especially a homeschool something, and organize it. Just start there. Once you can organize enough stuff to where you can think clearly, because isn't that true? Haven't you guys found, if you're like me, and you can be a little messy, and once things get messy enough, you realize it, and you say, I gotta clean. And so you clean, and then as soon as you clean, life has changed. You are so much happier, you can think clearly, and all of a sudden everything is easy. I promise you, this really, really works. So once you've cleaned enough things to where you can start thinking clearly, and you've included your kids in the process, and maybe your husband, now you can think about organizing your year. But actually, let's go back real quick and start and talk about the things very briefly. So I'm going to show you some examples of what I did in my home. This is my home and my books, and I don't have one homeschool room. I know a lot of people like that idea. I don't have it and really have space for it. I don't have an extra room just to dedicate to it. So you're going to see there's this bookcase here, and right behind me is something that I use. I'll show you that. But organize, however, if it's one room, organize it. If it's a bookcase here and a cabinet there, organize it. In the bookcase over there, I have all the school books. Before it was it was just books. It was adult books. It was maybe school books that they might use in 2 years and stuff that they used 2 years ago that they're not going to read again, and it was very unorganized. So now it's all the stuff that I think they're going to read this year, and it's organized somewhat by subject. The best that I can organize, but I'll tell you one thing, it's a lot more appealing now. It's like that fridge. You know, when I go in front of that bookcase, I think to myself, I might like to look at that, and my hope is that my kids will feel that way too. You don't want to have big giant piles of books here, there, and everywhere like I used to. And how can you expect your kids to be excited about that when they have to look through 4 or 5 different piles just to find a specific book, much less what if they just want to find an interesting science book? Well, they got to look through just random piles all over the house. That's not a good idea. So make sure you organize your stuff. Put all your science experiment stuff in one area and organize it. All your books in one area, all your curriculum. So I'm going to show you kind of what I've done with that. And then I'm a big fan of having a plan. I like plans. Make a plan for the year. I will show you very briefly the first 9 weeks spreadsheet that I made, but I made for all 36 weeks. Yes, there's 36 weeks in the year. And I made a spreadsheet, and it's so awesome. It just says week 1, and you just go down, and it tells you everything you need to do. But it wasn't it took time, but it wasn't complicated. You just write your main subjects, and I wrote a few more, but you don't need to. Language arts, science, social studies, and math, and write something to do for every day. That's it. It's easy. So without further ado, I'm going to show you a few things that I did to organize my life. This year I have a packet for the whole year. So as you can see, we have each week here, and then you have what they have to do. Now, I'm still not decided, but I'm leaning towards a 5-hour school day. So what that means is that if they finish this in 3.5 hours, 4 hours, then they have that extra time to do whatever schoolwork they want to do, and I'll be pretty flexible about what I call schoolwork. A lot of time it will involve reading. So my daughter got to pick this out. So each week she will write. There's 36 weeks in the year. It's labeled on this sheet. See right there. Week 7. So she will label, you know, week 7. If it's week 7, she will write what she wants to do each day on here. And, you know, she wants to do anything there, some extra to-do list stuff. And then, you know, goal of the week and whatnot. I made one for my son. It's a lot less, well, girly. This folder here will be for things that she is currently working on, like any sort of loose paperwork that she's currently working on. And then this folder is where she puts anything she is done with that I need to correct. And so if I correct it and it's right, I will take it and I am going to put it in this purple folder here, which I'll show you. But if it needs more work, it goes back in the pink folder. So that is the system, and I'm kind of loving it. It just seems very straightforward. So for last year, this is a binder for each of the kids, and so I kind of organized it: geography, math, writing, summaries, cursive, just science. My daughter was doing Chinese, grammar. And then, see, these were the checklists. So these were on the front of the packets. Actually, that was a handwritten one. I think I was getting tired and lazy towards the end. This is more how it looked. It included the goals for the whole year. And I would just, normally I would highlight. But I think towards the end of the year, I just told them to just do some work for however many hours. But let's look up, I was highlighting things. Yeah, I would highlight what I wanted them to do. So anyway, I have organized this all, but I did take out some of the cuter things and I made like a little highlights book. So for this year, they will, same idea. We have a binder, and then once the items come out of that second folder there, the corrected items, and they're 100% correct, they're just going to get filed directly in here, And then whenever my charter school wants samples or anything, they're going to be just right here. I'm going to try to do it, catch up on it on Saturday morning probably, and just get it done every week. But hopefully I'll kind of keep up with it as I go. And here's another fun thing that I'm doing. My goal this year is just to get everything totally lined up for the year. So my daughter wants to change to Italian. And so I got the 3 little pigs in Italian online, and I'm only on page 9 because it takes a lot of time. Oh, that's funny. Anyway, I'm just making a little bit of a thing. So she will have to copy the first sentence here. That's in English. And then she would have to write out the English and then sort of translate those words, and those words come from that sentence. And that's how the whole thing goes. It's really not a long story. So I'm making a whole little, I don't know how many days I can get out of this, but I've got 9 days so far until I got sick of working on it. But I do have some background in Italian. I'm not super fluent. She's going to be using an app as well, but I just love that this is going to be all there ready for her, and I'm trying to design it in a way where it's not going to take a lot from me, although I will have to help her with pronunciation. Another way I'm trying to be a little more organized this year than last year. So last year this was all just a big jumbled mess. It had random books, and this year I'm trying to really just use it as a homeschool section. So a lot of people say, where's your homeschool room? I don't have a homeschool room. It's all over my house, but I'm just trying to get more organized about what I have. So this section right now, it is math, science, and logic. And this section here is history stuff mostly. A little bigger books, more for my son. And then, oh no, I moved logic over here actually, because I was getting too many science books, so I moved the logic over here. And so logic and literature, more books for my daughter. And then here are literature for my son, and I guess also some, like there's the vocabulary books, some sort of language arts stuff, and some more literature there. And I try to keep stuff that I thought realistically they might read, whereas before not so much. So my whole thing this year is to try to just organize life so that everything is nice and you actually want to do things. So there's a bunch of history books in here. These ones are less likely to need to be accessed constantly. What do we have? Oh, just a couple of extra economics and math. So again, it's not just one room in the house, it's many rooms. So we have, it's already gotten a little bit used, but this would be my daughter's side. She's got all of her Moving Beyond the Page, those spiral bound books, a little Italian, little math in there. These are mostly just books, some manipulatives. She'll be using those Cuisinart rods. So it's kind of like her area. This is more my son's area. So he's got his, his workbooks. It's mostly on top for him. I hope that gave you guys some inspiration to start organizing. Organize your home and your school stuff and your schedule. And whenever you're feeling overwhelmed, either enlist your kids, because they're not helping enough probably, or your husbands, or your wife if you're a homeschool dad, but then organize things. And the more organized you are, it'll be easier for you to implement things, and it'll be easier for your kids to implement things too, and start thinking like that. How can I get things so organized that my kids can take the reins and take a lot more initiative with their education? Because, as you could see from the examples I showed you, my kids can look and say, this is what I have to do this week. Now I'm going to write it down on my weekly list, and I'm going to get started. And one thing I didn't show you, I'm also going to make myself a spreadsheet for the stuff that I need to address each week with the kids? I don't know. I think I will. I gotta think about that. I gotta get organized. So I hope that was helpful. If you like this video, please click thumbs up and click subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell next to it. In the meantime, happy homeschooling and have a great day.